Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the incredible total solar eclipse that we will be having on the cusp of Aries and Taurus on April 20th, 2023. Wow, I have been very elated to be coming on and making this video. Actually, it's the first eclipse video I'm making, I believe, since November of 2022 when we had the blood super eclipse happening with the blood moons, with the Saturn-Uranus squares and all of that crazy energy, which has finally just over the last few weeks really faded out and been replaced by this very different, very paradigm shifting energy of this cusp eclipse happening here in April. So in this video, everyone, I'm going to provide you some intuitive messages I've gotten about this eclipse, and I'm also going to put some charts up on the screen so we can talk about the astrology. And I'm just going to have a really fun stream of consciousness that I would love for you all to chip in with as well in the comments below if you have anything to offer or any ideas, comments, or concepts, any, I suppose, affirmations or reports of how things are going for you. Feel free to comment below and also subscribe to this channel if it resonates. Okay, everyone. So let's take a deep breath. Let's step back and kind of observe what has really happened here and what the new world context of our lives are. So that's what this eclipse is about in April, is our new world, okay? And our new systems, our new perceptions and ways of affecting our environment, our relationships, and the ether around us. So everything has changed. This cusp point between Aries and Taurus is a hot point right now, archetypally, because it represents the shift from the sort of youthful, pioneering energy to the more materially secure, more change-oriented sign of Taurus, okay, as we move on to that axis, of course, of Taurus and Scorpio. It is interesting to me that this exact eclipse will be happening at the 29th degree of Aries. The nodes are at 4 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio, so it's kind of a little bit of an anomaly eclipse. We usually have the eclipses happening in the exact sign of the nodes, but just barely this one happens before the sign of Taurus, okay? So, and it kind of, you could say at like 0 degrees is still an active point of this eclipse too. But I just think it's really striking that we have somewhat of an anomaly here with the eclipse happening at the 29th Anaretic degree of Aries. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that Anaretic degree, what that means, and what that's ushering us towards. So the Anaretic degree of any sign, the last degree of any sign, is, depending on the way you think about it, either the most powerful point of the sign or also the most problematic. It can go either way because we definitely see at the Anaretic degree the most worn out parts of any sign, but we also see that kind of last dash or that last mad dash towards the expression of the energy. So the sign of Aries, of course, is ruled by Mars. It is the cardinal fire sign. It is the archetype of the warrior, the archetype of the pioneer. So we're going to be seeing something like getting maybe a little bit tired there about like pushing so hard with things, or about trying so hard to be somebody, or pushing that boulder up the hill by oneself. It's going to start feeling very tired. And after this eclipse, so after April 20th of 2023, the system changes and we step into a more integrative, leverage-oriented energy. And it's already before this eclipse getting way harder to do things totally alone. But after this eclipse, it becomes like that window of time I feel that we've actually had since about like 2015 to just kind of like step out on our own limb, be our own self, starts to change a little bit and really gets a solid bookend put onto it, signaled by this eclipse. So there's going to also be something coming in relating to our material world, you know, the material realities of your life, since we're so close to the sign of Taurus, and also something leaving. So for some people, it's maybe a change in where they live, or also a change in their foundation in life. So what your job, career, material well-being will likely change for a lot of people during this time. And it's a supported time to make real-world material changes and to be finishing that up. Again, at a more psychic and emotional level, I feel that this eclipse indicates that there has been a long period of overkill, or a long period of trying too hard, or a long period of oversaturation. And this eclipse should really start to address that. Okay, so if you have anything in your own life that is overkill, overdone, or too hard, this eclipse is a wonderful time to transition out of a life chapter of overkill. Okay, I find the 29th degree of Aries to be very overkill, like that Anaretic degree, because again, Aries is about effort, it's about strength, it's about pushing, it's about being against things, it's about that cardinal kind of masculine, forward, straight, linear line energy. So at the Anaretic degree, we see the negatives of linearity, we see the negatives of directness, we see the negatives of only exercising that one muscle group. So I will tell you guys also, any stress injuries, we talked about that over the last 2 years. The Saturn-Uranus squares caused a lot of stress injuries, which is also kind of in alignment with that idea of like linear energy usage. Try to have your stress injuries addressed with this eclipse. You can actually start to heal them with this eclipse. So you can mitigate stress injuries. You can place energy elsewhere. And the fact that we have Jupiter and Chiron also engaged and charging this eclipse. I'll go ahead and put the chart up on the screen. As you can see, also in the signs of Aries, we have Chiron at 16 degrees and Jupiter at 23 degrees. So not exactly right up on the eclipse, but the sun and moon, of course, have both passed over Jupiter and Chiron. So the wounded healer is intensified and magnetized and grown by the expansive energy of Jupiter. And it's all kind of like concentrated at this eclipse point at the Anaretic degree of Aries. Very warlike, okay, war footing, war mobilization is possible, but I feel it to be more of like, but certainly this could happen at the collective level, but at the individual level, if you've had anything in your own life that you've been like fighting against, or if you have any battles that you've had in your own life, I think that this could be a turning point. And the entire month of May, if you guys have seen my readings on Patreon, I've been talking about the turning point coming in May, so I would imagine that would be a result of this sort of edgy point that this eclipse represents. You can bring healing to an area of wounding that has created conflict with this eclipse, but it's going to take a lot of precision. Okay, so we can't be sloppy. Another side effect of this eclipse would be like seeing sloppiness or seeing messiness or seeing things which are not like well concentrated, and like even like losing sleep over that type of thing. So you might want to take a look at things in your life which don't feel like well apportioned or don't feel well or precise, because this eclipse will definitely be manifesting a lot of trials or tests for people about like what the lines of some of their grids are in their life. So like if you have a business, or if you whatever you're focusing on in your life, understanding the limits of it, understanding the confines of it, understanding the ways that it is restricted would be important with this, because I feel that the next, I suppose, paradigm or lens of prosperity and abundance, which a lot of us associate, right, with like career, job, business, and money, is going to deal a lot less with that and a lot more with what comes easy and naturally. So another thing about the cusp of Aries and Taurus is that we go from like sort of like pushing things to be a certain way with Aries to receiving things and natural reception with Taurus. So this eclipse also symbolizes a shift from pushing really hard for things to be a certain way to things being more naturally allowed. So a great way to channel the energy of this eclipse is going to be asking questions or even journaling around these ideas of, what can I naturally have in my life more easily? What do I already have? Am I seeking to recreate something I already have with so much effort? Okay, what is the point of trying so hard to get something I already have? Okay, if I am wanting more peace or prosperity or abundance in my life, is there a way that I already have that without having to push so hard? Is there maybe an angle or a self-positioning or posturing that I can assume that allows this more, rather than me having to be against someone else or have conflict to get it. Okay. We have, I think, really important questions coming up with this eclipse about, I suppose, not just strategy, but about ways or means or methods of reception that are more destined or more naturally allowed, rather than fought so hard for. It's also possible with this eclipse to level up. Okay, that was one of the first things I had written down, is that this general astrology energy to me is like a question that's asking for a major material level up, or asking for a breaking of boundaries or a new mindset on prosperity under the context of what we have naturally. So trying to work in those types of energies rather than in like the warrior archetype or the archetype of destruction or conflict, okay, which was much more evocative of the previous few years, will bring quite a few people who have been plodding along and doing well with their karma, with their repetitive actions, with their spiritual leaning. It's going to bring quite a few people into a level of expansion and prosperity that they have never known, okay? And I feel that for most people, it's right there if they would like to have it. It just does require a little bit of a sort of reappropriation of energy, reappropriation of perspective in order to see that it's already there. So are we capable of seeing what we already have, I think is really big. It's not going to be what everyone wants to hear. A lot of people are going to want to hear like, oh, go there and look in that treasure chest and find all that you've ever wanted, or, create some kind of like really crazy plan or blueprint to totally change the entire essence of your life to finally get what you've wanted. Like that's what a lot of people are yearning for with this 0-degree Pluto in Aquarius. But I will tell you that it's not a very good karmic indication if that's where we're at, because that indicates such a dissatisfaction and such a, maybe even like, what would I say, like a sort of rejection of natural abundance in order to like motivate the next level of growth. So it's better to like be more integrative. It's better to work with what we already have to get stronger that way. Also, I feel that you can pretty much relinquish any trauma that you want to with this eclipse, again, charged with Jupiter and Chiron. Can you really get your mind front and center with what's actually in your life now is another question this eclipse is asking, rather than being like, I've got to get motivation or fuel from the pain that I've experienced before to move forward. This is actually going to want us to maybe create an entirely new sort of life or well-being that does not have much bonds to these previous traumas. Eclipses around Chiron deal a lot with this kind of thing. Like, can you release those old traumatic bonds? So anything relating to exes, relating to people of the past, relating to the way that those people might have changed your life or motivated your life, is probably up for a redo with this eclipse, because that eclipse energy is like something coming in and something going out. So I see a lot of people pushing away those old motivations, pushing away those old things. And what a great time for spring cleaning, for purging out old items, or for updating things, for recharging spaces, new furniture as well, new plant life, new gardening, new agricultural stuff as well with this transit. I mean, look at all this Taurus energy we also have with the nodes moving into their most powerful points of those signs, with Mercury and Taurus, Uranus and Taurus. I will say they're going into shadow at the same time as this eclipse, or will be in shadow, and preparing to retrograde. Mercury will go retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus. We have an entirely different grid for material well-being. Also, I'm just looking at my notes here. Full picture systems. Okay, so being able to see the full picture of some of these systemic aspects of your life and being able to lean differently into certain areas of your life, as I was saying. I also feel that with this eclipse, there's a feeling of a new era, or a feeling of, at both the micro and macro level, a new era. Okay, so I think that this could be happening in the banking sector. I think that this could be happening also in sustainability protocols as well. So I'm seeing new environmental sustainability protocols, and I'm also seeing new currency designs going like in. Okay, with this eclipse, and then it might not be until actually like this time of 2024 that it's like really prolific, but I find that this eclipse, being that it's on this cusp of the first and second sign, is indicating a new era and the passage of an old era and the start of a new one. So that longer cycle from like the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, I believe December of 2020, until now, indicates a big transition point from like an old way of doing things to a new way of doing things. And we will kind of move into that final chapter of that transition, I think, from now until about this time next year. But with that final chapter will come a lot of implementation, I think, of new Earth sustainability, new banking and monetary stuff. Also, I'm seeing increases in tourism of natural spaces, and new agricultural protocols as well, with the way that the sign of Taurus worked with this all planets direct phase from February until May of 2023. I'll link that video below. I made a video about the entire all planets direct phase that we had, which was a very rare long one. That is charging this eclipse as well, so I'm going to link that below. But yeah, new agricultural norms, maybe like new growth and new, also like, I will say it feels like the Earth is wanting to like really grow more, or wanting to like really ramp up its own like growth cycles in certain areas. And that would be indicated with this astrology with the major Taurus stelliums that we're going to be preparing to have as well, which keep tuned to my channel, which I'll talk more about that in the May comprehensive video. Hit that subscribe button below. There could also be like more headlines about like natural disasters, or like man-made natural disasters, like anything relating to toxic, anything like connecting to nature, I think will become a more heated societal issue, as it should become. And I do think that there's going to be maybe new organizations, or even new like new people movements relating to nature protection and the sanctity of nature, or the spiritual importance of natural preservation. With this eclipse seems to become more strong to me. And I will, I think, leave you guys with that message. It's looking like, in my opinion as an astrologer, it's looking like a major collective shift into remembrance of like the importance of nature, remembrance of certain areas, and also starting to get away a little bit from this idea that like, you know, I'm stuck in my house or my apartment and I have no contact to nature, and therefore I don't think about it. I don't really care about what's happening to nature. Okay, anything like that is going to shift, and I do think that people are going to get more conscious and need to get more conscious of what's happening in natural environments, and being able to find new sustainable protocols that are not like motivated by profit, or motivated by some kind of weird cause that is like a roundabout. Okay, so getting like directly into like the natural preservation, getting directly in to keeping an eye on the earth and an eye on the well-being of nature is going to be a big thing as we shift out of this kind of like Aries energy, which is more like, I just want to get my projects done at any cost. I want to, you know, get profitability, or I want to see increases, or I want to see, you know, kind of like fire and brimstone pioneering into my like new life or whatever. And it's going to move more into Taurus energy, right? And it's going to want to maybe make the surrounding environment a little bit more happy, and a little bit more natural, and a little bit less threatened as well. Yes, but then back at the personal level once more, I think that people will also want less restrictions placed on them as well, or people are going to want to be doing less unnatural things with their bodies. So maybe less, less braces, less plastic surgery, less fake materials, less plastic food, less plastic use in general. Also holding producers and distributors accountable for their packaging. Okay, interesting to consider that during this time. And starting to maybe like find new innovations for packaging that are more environmentally sustainable. I feel like that's great. Okay, this is not an environmentalist channel, but why not? Why not use this platform for something just to even like at a level of consumers, like just be thinking about, can we treat this world better? We've got to do everything that we can. And I'm feeling just like a lot more passion also in the collective about this. It's like something is waking up or something is coming to about people feeling more like an extension of the earth rather than like foreign to the earth. Okay, with this eclipse point at the Anaretic degree of Aries, it's like I'm starting to give up this feeling that like I need to like take over or I need to like use all these resources for my good. Instead, I want to like give back, or I want to be a healthier through giving back to the earth, or something like that, rather than feeling like I have more by taking from. Okay, it's a very give and take kind of like balance, isn't it? Because of course, as humans, we have to work with the earth, and in order to survive, we need food, and we need that grows from the earth. We also have resources, and we heat our homes, and we have clothing, and it all comes from the earth, all of it. Okay, and we have to make sure that we are giving back, okay, and that also we are not, at the very least, blind to where the stuff comes from. Okay, I think this is a big problem, not just with younger generations. I was about to say with younger generations, but I think that this is universal. I think that a lot of people have like lost the understanding, and maybe they know it deep down, but like the clothes that they're wearing, the food that they're eating, the plastic containers are all like a cost to the earth that the earth is like paying for us. And it's not necessarily about going crazy and regulating stuff like that, but I do think that people need to know that the earth also has ways of taking back and calling in debt too. And humanity doesn't know all of that. And we don't want to set up weird like debt relationships with the earth or upset the earth, okay? And we want to hold the planet in veneration. So there's like new philosophies I feel coming in with this eclipse along these lines, and a contrast and a bigger bloom, I think, of growth and agricultural growth and natural spaces too. So anyway, that's just a little bit of stream of consciousness about the planet. Comment below if you would like more content about intuitively about the environment and about the planet. I'm actually feeling a lot of inspiration on those topic lines. So comment below if you're also curious, or feel free to give me any of your ideas as well. I'm always interested to see where people are at with anything like this. Also, again, total solar eclipse, okay, and I meant to say at the beginning of the video that it's mainly over the region of like Australia, Indonesia, Philippines. That area of the globe is the main focal point of this eclipse. I will put a link below where you can see like all of the path and the projection and the exact timing with your time zone. But what I would say for my final thoughts is this eclipse is going to have us doing some really important things. By the time I think of like 2 or 3 months after this eclipse, as we go, especially towards Leo to Virgo season, the trine to this eclipse point, so that anaretic degree of Leo actually, what's going to happen is that it's going to be such an important and powerful thing that we've done, I think, in that 3-month period from April 20th until about August 20th, that just the entire paradigm can shift in very favorable ways if we're willing to do the stuff that matters. Again, that change in perspective, or that willingness to release, that willingness to also do the work that needs done, okay? And this is an important little thing. I'm seeing a lot of people doing so much work, but it's not the work that needs to be done. I'm seeing people working so hard, blood, sweat, and tears, over here on things. It's not bad. It's not like the worst thing to do, but we might need to be working on something else. So that's the main indication to me of this eclipse at the 29th degree of Aries. Again, what has been like for such a long time, pioneering and like, oh my gosh, I've got to try to create something out of nothing. I've got to push so hard. It feels like it needs to shift into a different sphere a little bit. And then the whole entire system has to kind of like be reintegrated at the personal level based on the way that the energies are, reintegrated from doing the work that matters, and the new perspective that places upon the entirety of someone's like personal grid and personal life. So with that, everyone, I'm going to conclude this video. Thank you so much. This channel is on Patreon. If you would like to support this work, you can hit the join button, or you can check out the Patreon page. I have some new updates that I hope to roll out soon for the channel when it's ready, where there should be like more content and more videos for you guys to check out. Thank you so much for hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing. Again, I do weekly forecasts every week on Patreon called T-Chats, which are a great value, and that's the way that this channel is possible. So definitely check that out, and I wish you guys a really happy eclipse season. Talk to you soon. Have a great one. Bye.